precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dilini Gunawardana, read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. China and Sri Lanka are to expedite implementation of MOUs. There will be no revision of bus fares despite the recent reduction of fuel prices. US donates equipment to strengthen Sri Lanka's virtual court procedures. The examination department announces that the admissions for the GCE O-level examination 2023-2024 have been issued. Sri Lanka's merchandise export performance in March 2024 has amounted to $1,138.9 million. And in world news, Central Gaza is under heavy bombardment. And in sports, the Sri Lanka women's team will meet the US team of T20 Women's World Cup tomorrow. Now the local news in detail. Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Chi Hong, called on Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardana at the Temple Trees in Colombo today to discuss ways and means of early implementation of the agreements and memorandums of understanding reached between the two countries during the Prime Minister's official visit to China in March 2024. The Prime Minister said the implementation of the MOUs would begin a new chapter in the long-term friendship and economic cooperation between Sri Lanka and China. Secretary to the Prime Minister Anura Dissanayake signed the agreements on behalf of Sri Lanka, and the secretaries of 9 ministries signed on behalf of China in the presence of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardana and Chinese Prime Minister Li Qiang. During the talks with Ambassador Chi Hong, the Prime Minister stated that in addition to implementation of the MOUs, Sri Lanka would also welcome direct private investments from China, as well as investments in agriculture, renewable energy, IT, education and water supply sectors to provide long-term solutions to economic issues. Ambassador Chi Hong said he was pleased to see the resilience of Sri Lanka to overcome difficulties and assured China's continuous support to Sri Lanka's current efforts at debt restructuring and meeting economic challenges. The chairman of the National Transport Commission, Shashi Walgamma, says that there will be no revision of bus fares despite the recent reduction of the fuel prices. The National Transport Commission had previously declared that the decision on whether bus fares will be revised would be taken today. Fuel prices were reduced with effect from midnight on the 30th of April, with the price of diesel reduced by 30 rupees per litre. However, the private bus associations had said that since there was no revision of bus fares in the previous 2 instances of fuel price hikes, the fare revision should only be revised again in July. Accordingly, the associations announces bus fares should not be revised with the lowering of fuel prices. The U.S. Embassy in Sri Lanka has donated equipment to strengthen the Ministry of Justice's virtual court procedures. The equipment, consisting of 35 video conferencing units, was officially handed over to Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa by U.S. Ambassador to Sri Lanka Li Qiang. Taken to X, Ambassador Qiang said together with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime and Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, the U.S. Embassy has taken a significant step forward for the Justice Ministry's virtual courts in Sri Lanka. She further said this donation of 35 video conferencing units will help ensure virtual proceedings, improve prisoners' access to legal services, speed up trials, and reduce the judicial backlog. Ambassador Qiang also added that the U.S. Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement is committed to support Sri Lanka's initiatives that aim to reduce prison overcrowding, streamline court automation, and enhance the overall effectiveness of judicial processes. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, the Ministry of Education says that the first school term of 2024 will end tomorrow. The second term of 2024 is scheduled to begin on the 20th of May. Meanwhile, the examination department announces that the admissions for the GCE O-level examination 2023-2024 have been issued. Accordingly, the admissions of the school applicants have been issued to the principals, while the admissions of the private candidates have been sent by post. If any exam candidate has not received the admission cards yet, they can call the hotline number 1911 or phone numbers 0112 784 208 or 011 278 4537. The Export Development Board says that Sri Lanka's merchandise export performance in March 2024 amounted to $1,138.9 million, recording an increase of 9.77% compared to March 2023. Furthermore, it said that export performance in March 2024 increased by 7.51% compared to the preceding month, February 2024. According to the latest data released by the EDB, the value of services exports for the month of March 2024 was $275.1 million, increasing 8.39% over the corresponding period of 2023. Subsequently, total exports for the month of March 2024 was recorded as $1.4 billion, including merchandise and services exports. Export earnings from apparel and textile increased by 6.66% year-on-year to US $443.9 million in March 2024 compared to March 2023. That ends local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
For the first time in Sri Lanka's history, the President has conferred the honour of senior instructing attorneys at law as per Act No. 26 of 2023 to Dr. J.M. Swaminathan, Mr. D.M. Swaminathan, Mr. G.G. Arulprakasan, Miss H.R. A.D.P. Gunathilaka and Miss S.N.M. Gunawardana. That was main news.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Department of Examination expects to release the results of the 2023 GCE Advanced Level Examination by the last week of May. A total of 346,976 students sat for the 2023 GCE Advanced Level Examinations, which was held in January this year. Among them, 281,445 were school applicants and 65,531 were private applicants. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on to world news, taking a look at the headlines of the world news. Central Gaza is under heavy bombardment. Police rip down barricades as they move in on Gaza protest in Los Angeles. Pro-China candidate wins Solomon Islands Prime Minister vote. Now the world news in detail. Palestinian armed groups have been attacking Israeli troops stationed at a main junction in central Gaza, where witnesses have reported extensive fire exchanges. The UN Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says Israel impeded and denied a significant number of aid missions to northern Gaza in April, and that despite the opening of a new aid crossing, 6 months of starvation cannot be ended without a consistent supply of aid. Meanwhile, UNICEF Chief Catherine Russell said 600,000 Palestinian children are crammed into Rafah, and an Israeli ground invasion would bring catastrophe on top of catastrophe. Police officers are dismantling barricades at a pro-Palestinian protest at the University of California in Los Angeles. Earlier, officers told the protesters to move or face arrest. There were clashes as officers stormed the encampment. The university has declared the days-long protest to be unlawful. There were violent clashes between rival groups a day earlier. Demonstrations are continuing at dozens of universities across the U.S. There have been over 1,000 arrests in total. Lawmakers in the Solomon Islands have selected a pro-China candidate as their prime minister in an indication the Pacific nation will remain a close Beijing ally. Jeremiah Monell won the prime minister vote recently, beating his opponent Matthew Whale in a 31-18 count. He will succeed former PM Manasseh Sogaware. The new premier has already indicated that he will continue the nation's close ties with China, including the island's secretive defense and security pact. With that, we conclude the world news. Prior to concluding the headlines of the world news once again. Central Gaza is under heavy bombardment. Police rip down barricades as they move in on Gaza protest in Los Angeles. Pro-China candidate wins Solomon Islands Prime Minister vote. That ends world news.
Development news.
According to the Coconut Development Authority, an income of 19,131 million rupees was earned from the export of coconut-related products in March 2024. This is stated in the monthly report released by the Coconut Development Authority on income from coconut-related products and exports. The report on the export of coconut-related products during the month of March 2024 was handed over by the chairman of the Coconut Development Authority, Professor Roshan Pereira, to Minister Mahinda Amaravira. That was Development News.
Moving on with sports news.
The Sri Lanka women's team will participate on their next match at T20 Women's World Cup tomorrow against the US team. So far, the Sri Lankan team has won all the matches they took part. The team defeated Thailand, Scotland and Uruguay and leads the Group A. That came to you in sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Sri Lanka Tourism welcomed a group of mainstream international journalists and travel influencers to promote the destination for upcoming summer and winter seasons while highlighting the new tagline of Sri Lanka Tourism, "You will come back for more." The delegation arrived from the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Australia, Singapore, USA and Canada. Overall, the group of travel influencers and media carried an active global audience of 1.8 million via mainstream travel magazines, news publications, travel blogs and social media platforms. The total advertising value expected to be gained from this earned media promotion will be over 35 million rupees. That came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න as වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Moving on to economic news. The Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Santosh Jha, met with Secretary-General of Colombo Plan, Dr. Benjamin Perez, and lead consultant of the Port of Colombo Capacity Building Project, Rohan Masakorala, to discuss the priorities of Colombo Plan and opportunities for further collaboration. The Colombo Plan is focusing on the important areas of maritime and logistics sector to support its member countries to adopt the best practices and increase skills in the sector. That came to you in economic news.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at a few places in the western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts after 2 p.m. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and in the Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. China and Sri Lanka are to expedite implementation of MOUs. there will be no revision of bus fares despite the recent reduction of fuel prices. US donates equipment to strengthen Sri Lanka's virtual court procedures. The examination department announces that the admissions for the GCE O-level examination 2023-2024 have been issued. Sri Lanka's merchandise export performance in March 2024 has amounted to $1,138.9 million. With that, we conclude the news, and over to my friend and certainly yours who's all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music. Over to you, Chandima.
Thank you very much, Sabrina. That was Sabrina Zawahir bringing you the evening bulletin of news. 31 minutes down, 6 is the time. You are tuned to Radio Sri Lanka, and here I am sitting in for Mariela Van Dort this Thursday evening, and I intend to keep you entertained all the way till 10 p.m. So from now, it's going to be the musical miscellany all the way till 8:45, at which time we will bring you the night bulletin of news, followed by the Family Choice program at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned. This is Radio Sri Lanka, giving you nothing but the best.